lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. I got a word for y'all for today. And this word, as you can tell by the title, this word, oh my Lord. So a couple of weeks ago, I just kept hearing in my spirit, fourth watch, fourth watch, fourth watch. And I'm like, and I believe this is my first time hearing something like that, hearing about the fourth watch. And so I'm like, what is it with this fourth watch? I'm like, fourth watch. And so my church, we had like this, it was like this council. And one of the evangelists, she was leading praise and worship service. And she said it, she was like, fourth watch. And I'm like, okay, Lord, she said the fourth watch. And it's been ringing in my spirit. And so I said, okay, let me go do my homework. Let me go research. Let me go get in the Bible, get in the Word. And so as I was doing my research and I got in the Word, and I just want to share with you all, and we're going to share with you all. We're going to do this together. We're going to read this together. We're going to read this together because as I was reading this, there was so much as I was putting it together, like God was just, He was just download so much in me, and I was just writing, as I was reading this. And so the first scripture that deals with, talks about the fourth watch, is Matthew 14:25, and we're going to read it. And it says, "And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them walking on the sea." And then we're going to read all the way to verse 33. We're going to read all the way to verse 33. And it says, verse 26, "And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit, and they cried out for fear." Verse 27, "But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid." Verse 28, "And Peter answered and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water." Verse 29, "And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus." Verse 30, "But when he saw the wind boastering, he was afraid and beginning to sink. He cried, saying, Lord, save me." Verse 31, "And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore did thou doubt?" Verse 32, "And when they were coming into the ship, the wind ceased." And 33, Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, Of a truth, thou art the Son of God. And so when I was reading this and I was studying this, and it was saying, in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them walking on the sea. He went unto them walking on the sea. And so, and it's just some notes I want to share. And it said, in the Roman period, when Jesus was ministering, the night was divided into 4 watches. Now, this right here is so important. Because I done heard different stories how people sometimes, when I know I went to prayer seminars, and how they say it is important that you pray at a certain time. Pick your prayer time. Some people get up early in the morning, some 3 a.m., 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Like, it's so important that you have a prayer time. Because your prayer time, within your prayer time, that is like, it's like your watch time. It's like the watch time. You would call like the fourth watch. That is when God, He's moving. He's doing, He's moving, He's doing so. He's coming to your rescue. And so I want to read this, and it said, "The night was divided into 4 watches, each lasting 3 hours, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., from 9 p.m. to midnight to 3 a.m., and 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Now, 6 a.m., that's usually, 5, like 5. My prayer time, usually I have it set for like 5 a.m. And it said, and 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. The fourth watch was the last watch, from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. The fourth watch. So if those of you, if your prayer time is from 6 a.m. from 6 a.m. or to 6, that's the fourth watch. That's the fourth watch. And so then it said the significance of the fourth watch. God intervention. The fourth watch is specifically when the disciples are struggling in the storm and when Jesus intervened. So this was in the fourth watch that they were struggling. You know, they was on the ship. And they looking at Jesus like, Jesus, master, master, master. And he was like, you know, he spoke to the wind. He spoke to the wind, you know, and he said, peace be still, you know. And then he told Peter to walk on, Peter, come to me. And Peter was coming to him, and Peter thought he got afraid, he got afraid. And so, and then it said, the story of Jesus walking the water in the fourth watch often symbolizes God's power and presence during difficult times, bringing comfort and hope. In time of crisis, the fourth watch, the time of the most difficult hour, is the time when we are tired. My Lord, ooh! When I think of this, When I think of this, and it said time when we was tired, I think of the story how when Jesus he went to a Gethsemane. He went to go pray, and he told the disciples, pray with me. Pray with me, lest not we enter not into temptation. He said, pray with me. And what did they do? They fell asleep. And he said, could you at least stay woke for 1 hour? 1 hour. Could you at least stay woke for just 1 hour, and pray with me? But they fell asleep. And so here come the soldier. Here come the Roman guards. So they come to arrest Jesus. And so this is why it's so important that in the fourth watch, we need what they say, pray and watch, pray and watch, pray and watch. We need to be praying and watching. Sometimes when I'm praying, I have to turn everything off. I tell my kids, I got to turn everything off. I got to turn the TV off. Sometimes, like I got my fan blowing down, I have to turn everything off. It's because I want to hear. I really need to hear. I need to be in tune. So it's the only thing that I should be hearing is when I'm praying. It's like sometimes I hear the cars, they driving past. Like when I was down praying early this morning, all I heard was the rain. I heard the rain, and it must have been the snow because I heard something hitting against my window. That's all I heard, And so which is, it's normal. That's out of your control. You can't turn off the rain and turn it. So it's normal. But other things that you have control over, your TV, turn it off. Sometimes you take my phone, I just move it away from you. I put it on silent, so you can be in tune, so you can hear. That's why it's so important, like they say, in the fourth watch, you need to be up. You need to be praying, and you need to be in tune so you can hear what he's saying to you. He want to reveal some things to you, show you some things, So this is why it's so important. You need to be in tune and listening to what he's saying. Then it says the fourth watch, the time of difficult hour is a time when we are tired, but it is also the time God also appear and bring peace in the midst of troubles. Okay, so let me share with y'all the other note. As I was reading this, I was like, wow. I'm like, I need to study this. I need to read this. I need to know what it is, because I kept hearing it in my spirit. And then when I was watching our service and the evangelist, and she said, I'm like, okay, Lord, I got to read this. It's something you're trying to reveal to me. You're trying to show me something. So then it says the significance of the fourth watch. Jacob wrestled with God and met him face to face just before he entered into destiny as Israel. This is Genesis 32, 22, and 31. The fourth watch, listening for God at night. I just said that when you praying, you need to be listening. You need to get real quiet and listen so you can hear what he's saying to you. Because when there's a noise, you can't hear. You can't hear nothing. So this is why it's so important that you need to turn everything off, all the devices, turn TV, radio, whatever it is, turn it off and just get before his presence and just listen. Sometimes you just have to be quiet. Sometimes we get in prayer and we want to do all the talking and all this and that. I remember, I don't know, was it I think it was a preacher or something came. He said, "You're doing all that speaking in tongues, but when you're doing all that speaking in tongues," he said, "you need to be, you need to know. Okay, what did he? Why you was down there speaking in tongues? What did he say to you? What did he say? You're doing all this speaking in tongues, and you just got up. But what did he say to you? What do what did he speak in your spirit? So this is why it's so important that as we speaking and we using our heavenly language, we need to get quiet. You need to get quiet. You need to get quiet and just listen. Sometimes I'm just proud of, okay, Lord, I just want to hear you. Lord, I just want you to talk to me. Talk to me, Lord. I'm listening. Like I'm listening. I think I did enough talking. I'm listening. I'm here. I'm listening, Lord. I just want to listen. It's so important because you're revealing some things. You're showing you some things. And so then it said the fourth watch, listening for God at night. And we're gonna read Mark. We're gonna get to Mark. Then it said the fourth watch, how the fourth watch, the story of Hagar in Genesis 21 contained a wonderful fourth watch phrase in describing her desperation. The water was spent in the bottle. Now, when I was reading this, I was like, "My Lord!" This goes to show you that, it goes to show you how God is so merciful, so loving. Like he he still have a love. He loves all people. It's because some might will say that because you all know the story. Hey guys, she was Sarah. I'm sorry, y'all. Sarah. Sarah couldn't have a child, so she sent her what do you call it? Her maid servant. She sent Hagar. To go sleep with her husband. Now I know in this day and time, some like you ain't finna go send no other woman to go sleep with your husband. You just gonna like pray and believe God that God opened up your womb. You ain't gonna be like, nah, I ain't finna send her go. No maid or nobody. But this is what they was doing back in the day, and so Hagar gave permission for her maid servant to go sleep with Abraham, and this is how she did conceive, and she had a baby, and his name was Ishmael. And so then, as when she had the baby, when Hagar had the baby, then Sarah, she started acting a certain way towards her. Like started seeing that to me, I'm starting to. She started sensing it started like a little jealousy between with Abraham and his son Ishmael with the other woman, and so she went to Abraham and was like, hey, I'm just paraphrasing, like she gotta go. She got to go. Her and her that child, they got to go. But this is your maid servant that you sent to go sleep with your husband. This this was your doing. So we want to read this because it said in the fourth watch. In the fourth watch, the story of Hagar in Genesis 21. We're gonna read a little bit of this. I'm gonna start because this is where we begin at verse 14. Genesis 21, verse 14. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water, and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered. Oh yeah, let me go back. And wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the cherubs. And she went, with verse 16, and she went and sat her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, Let me not see the death of. So I'm just want to paraphrase, because it seemed like to me what Hagar did was she went and she sat Ishmael down. She sat him down. So I'm just paraphrasing. Like she went and she sat him down somewhere in the area, maybe somewhere by a tree or somewhere. She sat him down because she said, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this of my son. Like he's finna die of hunger. He's finna die of hunger. I don't want to see this. So she sat him down. And she said to him, a good off as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lift up her voice and weep. Verse 17. And this I would say this I would say is like this. They say this is a fourth. I would say this is the miraculous move of God. This is a miraculous move of God. It's because here, she was sent away, and her child, Ishmael. I'm just paraphrasing. They was like in this desert somewhere, and so she set her son down far away. Like she was like, I don't want to see the death of this child. I want to see the death of my child. And then here comes Jesus. Here comes Jesus. Like I said, then came Jesus. Then came Jesus. And verse 17. And God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said unto her, what I like thee, Hagar, fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. So God, that's something that's amazing. Like she set the child down somewhere, and I'm just paraphrasing. Who knows? Ishmael probably was laying there, and he probably did. You know how babies, they weep, they cry. His little weeping sound, and his little weeping sound touched, reached up to heaven. His little weeping sound reached up to heaven, and God heard him. He heard him. He heard him, and he came to Hagar. Let's go back. I want to go back to verse 17. And God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said unto her, what I like thee? Hagar, I want to look up that word, y'all. When I be reading the Bible, and if I see a word and I don't know what it is, y'all, I need to look it up. I want to see what this word means. Hold on, y'all, 1 second. I want to see what this word means. I don't like to skip over words. I like to know what it means. So if I come across it again. Okay. So that word means to be sick, unwell, or to cause to be so. So when he came to her, when he spoke to Hagar out of heaven, said unto her, what, like, what sick is thee? What sick is thee? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Verse 18. Arise, lift up the lad, lift up the lad, child, lift up the lad, and hold him in thy hand, for I will make him a great nation. So he told her, he told her, lift him up. Lift him up. Okay, now when I see this, and when he's saying lift him up, now what coming to my mind of the movie of the Lion King when Mufasa, they took Simba and they hold him up. So he said, lift him up, and he's telling him, I will make him a great nation. I will make him a great nation. And then verse 19, and God opened her eyes, and she saw a well. He opened her eyes, and she saw a well. She saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water and gave the lad drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became a anchor. And dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife. So he grew. So Ishmael, he grew and he dwelt in the wilderness, and he became a anchor. And so this was in the fourth watch, like they say the fourth watch. And so when I was reading this, I was like, wow, that is a miraculous move of God. Like God, he cared about those, it could have went another way. He could have said, you know what, Sarah, you brought this on yourself. Like, Sarah, you brought this on yourself. He couldn't, he still, showed compassion to Haggai, even though she was he, even though she was Sarah's mistress, he showed compassion on her. Cause I'm looking at it like God sees, like, okay, it ain't so much. You didn't plan this. You didn't plan it. It wasn't your idea. It was Sarah. It was um, I'm gonna just say her master, whatever. I'm gonna say Sarah told her to go sleep with her. Haggai didn't go. Sarah gave Haggai to her husband. So this was Sarah doing, and so this is why I'm believing that God had compassion on Haggai, because it wasn't her doing. She didn't just go sleep with this lady, this lady husband. Sarah instructed her to go sleep with him. So, but this, but it just showed like the miraculous move of God. God had compassion on her. He didn't just leave her and her son in the desert. He fed them. He fed Ishmael. He showed her, give him some water, give him something to drink. And he's gonna, I'm still gonna use him. That's the thing I like about God. Still, like, somebody can be, in your mess. God can bless you in your mess. He can bless you in your mess. And so now we're going to go to Mark. We're going to go to Mark, and then I'm going to share some notes with y'all. We're going to go to Mark. And Mark, and it says, sometimes God makes us wait until the fourth watch to free us. Jesus comes to his disciples in the fourth watch of the night. And this is Mark 6, 4, and 5. Let's read. And it read. And it's 45, right? Mark 6 and 45. I want to make sure I'm reading the right verse. Hold on, y'all. I want to make sure. 46. Okay. Mark 6 and 46. And when he had sent them away, he departed into a mountain to pray. He went to go pray. Jesus went to go pray. And so I believe this probably, if I'm not mistaken, this is the time when he went into, he always, Jesus was always going away off to go pray, even when they was coming to get him, he was in Gethsemane. He told the disciples, stay here, wait here and pray an hour with me. And they fell asleep. And so, what I didn't see up in here when I was reading this, because y'all know when I read from my study Bible, I like to read what that verse is about. And they didn't have like too many notes on these verses I want to share with y'all so we can get a better understanding. They didn't have too many notes. Let me go to Matthew real quick. And I think the only one Matthew had was, we're going to read a verse 23. Well, we was reading Matthew 14:25. We just got done reading this, but I want to read you what the verse was talking about. Verse 23. Seeking solitude was an important priority for Jesus. He made room in his busy schedule to be alone with the Father. Spending time with God in prayer nurtures a vital relationship and equips us to meet life challenges and struggles. Develop the discipline of spending time alone with God. It will help you grow spiritually and become more and more like Christ. Verse 28. Peter was not testing Jesus. Something we all told not to do. In verse 4 and 7. Instead, he was the only one in the boat to react in faith. His impulsive request led him to experience a rather unusual demonstration of God's power. Peter started to sink because he took his eyes off of Jesus. Don't take your eyes off of Jesus. Don't take your eyes off of Jesus. Peter started to sink because he took his eyes off of Jesus and focused on the high waves around him. His faith wavered when he realized what he was doing. We may not walk on water, but we do walk through tough situations. If we focus on the waves of difficult circumstances around us without looking to Christ for help, we too may despair, and sink. To maintain your faith when situations are difficult, keep your eyes on Christ's power rather than on your inadequacy. Then verse 30:1. Although we start out with good intentions, sometimes our faith falter. This doesn't necessarily mean we have failed. When Peter's faith faltered, he reached out to Christ, the only one who can help. He was afraid, but he still looked to Christ. When you are apprehensive about the troubles around you and doubt Christ's presence or ability to help, you must remember that he is the only one who can really help you. And that was Matthew 14:30-31. I want to read you all that. And so, let me see, what else? And this is it said, the God of the fourth watch. I heard this story with Peter walking on the water so many times, like, what is something new I can get out of this? And okay, so the last thing, this is the last thing, y'all, and I'm gonna close this out. There's some notes that I wrote, and I want to bless you all with this. Why it's so important that we need to pray. And it's some notes I wrote. It is in the fourth watch God is coming to your rescue. It is in the fourth watch God is answering your prayers. It is in the fourth watch God is doing some healing, some deliverance. God is breaking some strongholds off of your bloodline. God is drawing you to read his word. It is in the fourth watch God draws you closer to him. God is fixing something that is broken in your life. It is in the fourth watch God is birthing a yes down in your. God is birthing a yes to his will in you. It is in the fourth watch God is revealing something that's why you have to stay in tune, stay connected to the power source, stay plugged in. In the fourth watch, sinners are being called in the fourth watch. In the fourth watch, God is calling sinners to repent for a new life with him. In the fourth watch, I'm gonna tell this story. There was this time. It was like a long, long time ago. It was me and my nieces, and we was going to this. It was this housing thing, and we was going, and people was going. You had to go there early in the morning. So you might as well say it was like around the fourth watch. It was like maybe like 4 or something in the morning. We had to, because it was like a long line, because you had to fill out this application. So we was there, and as we was there, it was this lady. It was this woman, and she was just crying out. Like she was just somewhere, like in the park benches, and she was just crying out. And she was just hollering, just crying out for help. And so when I think about this, when they say, in the fourth watch, God is calling sinners. For me, I think about that lady laying on that bench, like she was just crying out to God. Like God, I was just saying she was just crying out. And it was like, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, because we had to be there early to get an application. It was like a long line. And so I would just consider that was like the fourth watch. She was just laying there, just crying out. And during this time, at the time, I wasn't saved at the time, but I still remember that day. And so it kind of reminded me, like the woman laying on the bench, just crying out. She was crying out, and God probably was like, I'm here. And she was just crying out, like in desperate need of help. And so it's saying the fourth watch, sinners are called to repentance. With new life with Christ. That's why it's so important that we have to pray, because in the fourth watch, God shows up and shows out. That is so true. So important. When we praying and God, He show up. He just show up and He just shows out. Some people, I like to have people, some people, they say, to paraphrase, they say, He's flexing His muscle. Like, I'm here. Like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm coming to I hear you. Like, I hear you, my child. I'm here. And so, but I pray that this message it blesses you, encourage you. Share this video. Share this video with a loved one, so that they will know that that they're not alone. That God, He hears their cry. He hears you might have so many friends or loved ones. There might be, you know, in the wee, what they say, in the wee in the hours, they might be crying out. They might be crying out in desperate need of something. So share this video. Let them know that the crying, that God hear their cry. He hear their crying, and He's coming to their rescue. So, but I pray that you all was blessed by this message, the fourth watch, and to know that in the fourth watch, God is doing some things in the fourth watch. He's fixing some things. He's breaking chains in the fourth watch. He's renewing you in the fourth watch. He's answering your prayer in the fourth watch. Until next time, it should be her Melissa.